Hi, this is Ron Kampeas
and Eric Fingerhut.
We're wrapping up a very busy 2 weeks. We were in Denver at the Democratic National Convention. Now we're in Minneapolis. Minneapolis is St. Paul is where the Republican National Convention is taking place. Right now we're in Minneapolis at the Tyrone Guthrie Theater overlooking the Mississippi River because this is where a reception for pro-Israel members of Congress is taking place, hosted by the Republican Jewish Coalition.
We spoke to several prominent Republicans at the Republican Jewish Coalition's event to honor pro-Israel lawmakers. Ed Royce of California, the ranking member on the Terrorism Subcommittee in the U.S. House of Representatives, talked about visiting Israel during the 2006 war with Lebanon and what he witnessed along the border.
People had been underground, for a week and a half. It would go on for went for an entire month like this, and we were trying to get the international community to do something to explain the degree of terror that people were confronting because of the Hezbollah attack.
Senator Arlen Specter and Congressman Jim Gerlach, both of Pennsylvania, discussed prospects of inroads into the Jewish vote.
I think there are opportunities for the Republican Party within the Jewish community. I think that we live in a very dangerous world, and I think that Senator McCain has an edge. And I don't say that strictly in a partisan sense, but he's well known to be an expert on defense and knows the world leaders, and I think is the right man for the job.
Marina Katz is running to oust Allison Schwartz, who's also Jewish in suburban Philadelphia.
I'm the first Ukrainian born to ever run for Congress, and I'm first Jewish immigrant from the former Soviet Union to ever run for Congress or Senate.
A number of senators and congressmen made their case to the crowd, including Minnesota Senator Norm Coleman in a tight race for re-election against Al Franken. Eric Cantor, the minority whip and sole Jewish Republican in the House, introduced some of his colleagues. Lincoln Diaz-Balart, a Cuban-American with a substantial Jewish constituency in South Florida, made an especially emotional appeal.
We, the United States of America, cannot vacillate, cannot doubt, and we must be with Israel. Thank you. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your faith, and we will win in November.
Also attended a reception for governors. Dennis Prager, the talk show host, spoke there. Why don't you tell us a little about what he said?
He was very tough on Jewish liberals. Said that the best thing that could be done for America was to disassociate Jews from being liberal. And it seemed like the crowd, who was actually eating some red meat at the time, enjoyed his red meat as well.
That's right. We also spoke to Dina Abramson, who is a Jewish delegate from Nebraska. She's Lubavitch, and she had an interesting story to tell.
We run for election in Nebraska. Everyone uses their own resources. I like to use some history, so I used a photograph of myself as a baby and my grandmother and great-grandmother from Germany, German Jews, and correlated that with having a strong cultural heritage handed down by my amazing grandmothers. Neither were typical. They were both really amazing. So much of who I am today, and not only as a Hasidic Jewish woman, but as a parent, a mother who's raised 2 children. They passed on the values, the morals, guidance and direction. Taught me that you can't allow people to put labels or box you in, that you have to be strong, know who you are, and stay strong. Values that I hope I passed on to my children, Sarah and Yosef.
And one of the stars here has been Joe Lieberman. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what he said in his speech the other night?
His message was bipartisanship. He was very strong on saying, it's not important what letter is after your name, a D or an R, it's what you do for your country. That message got kind of a lukewarm reception in the hall. But you got to respect the guy who was able to get a little applause with the mention of Bill Clinton's name.
John McCain really wanted him as his vice presidential pick until the last minute, and he was persuaded that it just wouldn't fly with the Republican base because Joe Lieberman is a moderate on domestic issues, however much they agree on foreign policy, on staying the course in Iraq, and other things. And he appeared at a global engagement event at the Hubert Humphrey Institute at the University of Minnesota. The Global Engagement Movement was it's an offshoot of a foreign aid organization that the American Israel Public Affairs Committee actually helped start about 8 to 10 years ago, and they try to increase Americans' awareness about the need for foreign aid, and not just for Israel, not just for the Middle East, just foreign aid in all. It's a real global commitment, because Americans think that the Americans are giving much more global aid than they are. In fact, they're surprised to find out that at about $30 billion a year, it's less than 1% of the national budget. So Joe Lieberman spoke there, and he made the case for John McCain and his foreign policy. Of course, the biggest news of the convention has been the placement of a woman on the Republican ticket. It's the first time in history that's happened. It's the second time in history that a woman has made the national ticket. And we talked to convention goers and Jewish convention goers about what that means.
I was elated. It's brilliant. She's a wonderful lady, strong, conservative, values, morals, a lot to bring to the table.
I think she brings a lot of positive elements to the ticket. I think her integrity, it's a breath of fresh air. She's shown a willingness to do what's right, and I think that's refreshing in Washington. I think, so many people are so cynical, and this idealism and this integrity is just what we need.
And she must have nerves of steel to be able to have such a great speech in that context and do so well with it. So everybody's pleased.
It's been an exciting 2 weeks, as I've said, and so thanks to the viewers, thanks to our ever-present cameraman, Ron Lipsky, and we'll be signing off. This is Ron Kampeas
and Eric Fingerhut
from Minneapolis.